And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Tom Thorn, who writes, Chaos Walking just got its release date pushed yet again to March 5th, 2021. This means Tom Holland is going to have 4 movies come out in less than 1 year. Chaos Walking, Cherry, Uncharted, and Spider-Man 3. Does it seem like he is risking either locking himself in as a Hollywood great or getting a bad case of overexposure? Is he risking it all on this year? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, Chaos Walking has kind of been a New Mutants situation before New Mutants even came out. It is a movie that was supposed to come out a long time ago. It got bumped, it got bumped, it got bumped. It just got bumped again, as a matter of fact. This comes to us from the folks over at Variety who write the following. Lionsgate's young adult sci-fi adventure, Chaos Walking, will be released in theaters nationwide and in IMAX on March 5th, 2021, a pushback from the previous January 22nd date. The move comes as distributors begin to adjust the Q1 calendar in response to the ongoing pandemic, which they are hoping quells by spring, given the good news about the vaccines. All right, so here we have this movie, Chaos Walking, with Daisy Ridley, of course, from the Star Wars films, and Tom Holland. Rob, the original release date on this is now coming out in March of 2021. The original release date, not when this film was finished shooting, the original release date of this film was March of 2019. By the time this movie hits theaters, it will literally be 2 years from when it was originally supposed to come out and hit theaters. Probably a good 2.5 years since they had actually finished filming the damn thing. I mean, Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley are going to look completely different by the time they walk the carpet on this one. But it does create this really interesting scenario right now. And the scenario that it creates is that it means within the span of basically a calendar year, you've got 4 Tom Holland-led films. This isn't like some actors who appear as a second or a third or fourth level character and they've got a couple. This is going to be like 4 films with Tom Holland that he's going to be leading in a year, all coming out. Of course, to talk about Cherry, which is the one he's doing with the Russo brothers. He's got this, Chaos Walking. He's got Uncharted, which a lot of people are excited about. And he's got Spider-Man 3, which is obviously a lot of people are excited about. So the question is this too much? Now, the person who asked the question is asking, is Tom Holland taking a gamble here? The first thing we've got to realize is this. Tom Holland has no say in this. This isn't Tom Holland's decision about when to release movies. This is completely outside of his control. It's just going to have to work. Now, is there a risk of it leading to overexposure of Tom Holland? Yes, there is a risk of that. But remember, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he's very prolific. He puts out a lot of films, maybe not 4 a year on average, but he puts out a lot of films. It's fine. The key here, Rob, I think is going to be, are the films good? Because if the films are good and people enjoy Tom Holland in them, then it's going to be fine. It's not going to overexpose him at all. The problem becomes what if the movies are all bad? Because Rob, seriously, we look at what happened to Michael Fassbender, right? Michael Fassbender, everybody thinks he's one of the greatest out there right now, but then he put out a slew of films in a row that were all terrible, and now nobody talks about Michael Fassbender. It wasn't that he did X number of movies, it's that he had X number of movies that came out and were all terrible. And that kind of becomes the thing that can prick you in the finger a little bit. So overall, I don't think inherently there's any problem with Tom Holland doing 4 films in a calendar year. It's just going to be the traditional issue of, are the films good, or are people going to dislike them and therefore kind of maybe sour on them a bit? So anyway, there's just that. Rob, you hear this question. What do you think? Do you think we can get Tom Holland overexposure at this point?
No. I mean, here's the thing. It's not about the actor. It's about the film. And if these films are good, I think that Tom Holland, people will they thirst for things that they like. And they're not, I don't think anyone's going to be put off by Tom Holland unless his films are less than good. The thing about Chaos Walking, I mean, we can make we can make jokes about how many times it's walked off its release date. And obviously they've had a hard time in post getting the movie into shape. But I think he's a very appealing performer. I think the projects that he's involved with actually seem pretty fascinating to me. Obviously, whether it's Uncharted, whether it's Spider-Man, whether it's Chaos Walking, which I want to see, because, Doug Liman's track record has been up and down, but for the most part, I've liked the movies that he's made. Even when, he made, after all, Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, or All You Need Is Kill, whatever you want to call it. I think I have videos that have different titles for each one. But I think, in the case of Tom Holland, he's a very appealing performer. He's even off screen when he's on talk shows and things like that. He has a winsome, winning personality. And I think people like him. And like you said, you made the point, it's not his decision. And I think when movies are scheduled, the studios aren't necessarily, maybe they're mindful of what other studios are doing. But if they have a film that they think is worthy of scheduling when they're scheduling it, I hope that it's good. I want all movies to be great. And I just don't think Tom Holland, unless he does something really egregious, like if he wakes up in a hotel room covered in blood with a couple of dead people in it, with no memory of what happened or how he got there, well, maybe people will say, well, Tom Holland, there's something weird with that guy. But until that happens, I think he's on a streak.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Here's the other thing when it comes to is it overexposure with an actor? Here's the thing, and I know it's not a complete identical apples to apples comparison, but I often go back to this. Charlie Cox played, Matt Murdock, and he was Daredevil. Did people get tired of seeing him 8 times a year in the same role? No. And did they then get tired of seeing him 8 times again in the same role the following year? No. It's about whether or not you enjoy something. And if the stuff Tom Holland is in, and a little bit of this is outside of his control, but if the stuff Tom Holland is in is good, people are going to enjoy it and people won't get tired. It could be a really good year for him because, listen, I think Uncharted has a ton of potential. Spider-Man 3, listen, we saw what Watts did with Spider-Man 1 and 2. He did a great job with both of them, so I have high expectations for 3. Chaos Walking is probably going to be a disaster. But Cherry sounds great. So if he goes 3 for 4, I think it's going to be a very good year for Tom Holland. But, we'll have to wait and see. Question is, guys, what do you think about that? Do you think it's dangerous, Tom Holland having 4 films coming out in the same year? Or do you really not think it's that big of a deal? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys.